welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about the movie Jojo Rabbit. In my last video, I talked about all the movies that came out in November, and the first movie on my list was Jojo Rabbit. I'm going to link that up above. This movie, if you haven't seen that video, and if you haven't, what are you waiting for? It's directed by Taika Waititi, a New Zealand director who directed Thor Ragnarok, which is by far the best Thor. And it is very much a movie in his style. It is very quirky, it is very fun, it is heartwarming, it's heart-wrenching at parts. But, you know, I really loved it. Is it flawless? By no means. But I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. First of all, the little boy in it, the guy who plays Jojo, is the most adorable little boy in the history of the world. It's his first acting gig, his first professional acting gig, and the movie is him. It's kind of unreal. I think he did an amazing job holding up his own against Scarlett Johansson, Rebel Wilson, Sam Rockwell. I mean, freaking Oscar winner in this movie, and he was right along there with him. P.S. also, the little boy who plays his friend, Yorkie. Come on. If Jojo's the cutest kid in the world, Yorkie's second cutest. Anyway, so if you didn't already watch the other video, the movie is about Jojo, who is in the Hitler Youth. It's towards the end of World War II, and his mind is just full of propaganda. And it's really, the movie is really about the ignorance of, you know, those who follow propaganda and don't really think for themselves. And so throughout the movie, it's Jojo kind of like started off talking about like, oh, you know, Jews have horns under their hair and, you know, just like monsters and all of this stuff that in a very satirical way the adults have fed into him. And then he comes to find out his mom has hidden this Jewish girl in their house. So it's him dealing with that ramification with his mom. It's him forming a friendship with this girl, and just like the journey that it then takes them on, and that's the catalyst for. It is so well made. One of the things that I think is so brilliantly done, and that Taika Waititi brilliantly directed, was the opening credits. Okay, so the opening credits. This sets you up for the tone of the movie, and just how ridiculous and what a brilliant satire it is that, so it's images of Hitler, like old school movies of Hitler, like real movies of Hitler, cut together with the girls screaming and shouting and crying and throwing themselves against fences from the Beatles, like when they would arrive at airports. You know, just like that hysterical, like, oh my God, and so it looks like they're having that kind of reaction to Hitler arriving, which is kind of amazing and ridiculous. And then the music over that is the Beatles singing "I Want to Hold Your Hand" in German. They actually did German recordings. So it's just so brilliant. And the whole soundtrack for the movie is fantastic. It's like the Monkees and all these other like more current songs, but in German. What I find is absolutely amazing is, so Taika Waititi wrote this movie back in 2012, and the very first version of the script, he had those songs written into the script. He didn't have the German written, but he had those songs in the original script. So that's just kind of showing how his mind is. You know, the only thing I had some issues with was, you know, because it's a satire and it is supposed to be a kind of comical view on this horrific time, you know, some of the things were a little like, it seemed almost like they had a too lighthearted of a view. You know, like the end, like the final battle and everything like that. You know, the fight for Jojo's house. And then, not to give any spoilers away, but a major event happens in Jojo's life, and what happens afterwards is not quite realistic. Just like how his life keeps going after this major event. It's just not really realistic. But then again, in that time, when everyone is so focused on the war, I could see maybe how things could have gone that way. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Not being aware of how things really were. But yeah, I thought it was just an adorable movie that did have a point. I know some of the criticisms were the fact of Hitler being his best friend, or his imaginary friend, not his best friend, his imaginary friend. They thought it was a little too lighthearted, but for that, I say it's in the same vein of like Mel Brooks in The Producers. You know, he said, you know, like, how best to defeat these guys but by to make fun of them and to laugh at them. And, you know, Taika's portrayal of the best friend Hitler is kind of ridiculous. You know, he's not obviously how Hitler really was. But even just the subtleties in his portrayal of the best friend, I keep saying it, of the imaginary friend, was very interesting. And Jojo's relationship with him and how it progresses as he becomes less and less brainwashed by the propaganda is very interesting. So yeah, all in all, I very thoroughly liked this movie. If you have seen any of Taika's other movies and liked them, I think you will absolutely like / love this movie. If you haven't seen any of his other movies, I strongly suggest you go and rent them. Go and rent them. You can't go down to a Blockbuster. Whoop. Sorry, my phone went off. You can't go rent them at a Blockbuster. I suggest you rent them from iTunes or watch them wherever you can watch them. So those are my thoughts on Jojo Rabbit. Strongly suggest you get down to a movie theater and see this movie ASAP, and I really hope that it's remembered come awards season, because a lot of times comedies don't really get the recognition aside from like maybe a writing credit or something. So yeah, I'm just really hoping. Maybe the Golden Globes at least. Anyway, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below. This is my first ever like movie review outside of me just talking to my friends. So let me know down in the comments below if there's anything you think that I can improve on. And yeah, I will hopefully continue to make these in the future. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.